Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into Jack Finney's psychological masterpiece, The Third Level, and equipping you with the exact tools you need to absolutely master this text for your exams. If you've ever felt completely burned out by the daily grind, trust me, this story is going to resonate with you profoundly.
So, think about this mind-bending question for a second. What if the ultimate escape isn't a place, but a time? Because, in our story today, an ordinary 31-year-old guy named Charlie discovers that fleeing his modern problems might actually require a little time travel. He isn't some superhero. He's literally just an everyday office worker with a stamp-collecting hobby who desperately wants off the daily hamster wheel.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The modern desire to escape. 2. Discovering the third level. 3. A psychological diagnosis. 4. The impossible plot twist. And finally, 5. Master your exam keywords. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The modern desire to escape. Let's look at exactly why our main guy, Charlie, is practically itching to get away from his own life.
This really hits the nail on the head when it comes to his motivation. On one hand, you've got the modern world. Loud, packed with insecurity, fear, war, you name it. It's basically a giant anxiety machine. But contrast that with where Charlie actually wants to be. Galesburg, Illinois, in 1894. We're talking peaceful, long summer evenings that seem to stretch on forever, and World War I is still a solid 20 years away. Honestly, you can't really blame the guy for craving that kind of tranquility.
All right, Section 2, Discovering the Third Level. Now, this is where things get wild. Watch how Charlie's totally mundane commute morphs into something physically and logically impossible.
So Charlie heads into Grand Central Station to catch the subway after a long day at the office. He actually describes Grand Central like this constantly growing maze, just pushing out new corridors and staircases like tree roots. He goes down to level 1, then level 2. But then he spots this odd doorway slanting downward. He walks in, and all he hears is the empty echo of his own footsteps until, just like that, he steps entirely out of the present day.
He knows instantly he's not in modern-day New York anymore. Why? Because he's hit with this absolute wave of late 19th century sensory details. We're talking dim, flickering, open-flame gaslights, brass spittoons just sitting right there on the floor. Men are walking around in derby hats with these epic handlebar mustaches, and the women are wearing leg of mutton sleeves and high-button shoes. He even catches a glimpse of a tiny Currier and Ives locomotive. The whole vibe changes in a split second.
But, Charlie needs hard proof. So he wanders over to a newsboy and checks out the stack of papers. He is staring right at a copy of The World, which is a paper that literally hasn't been printed for years. And right there, stamped loud and clear at the very top, is the exact date of his time travel, June 11th, 1894. No way, right?
His gut reaction? Buy 2 tickets to peaceful Galesburg for him and his wife, Louisa. Just get out of there. But the plan instantly falls apart. He hands his cash to the clerk, who takes one look at this modern money and realizes it is totally fake by 1894 standards. The guy literally tells him, "That ain't money, mister." So Charlie just turns and bolts. Because, hey, even in a super peaceful year like 1894, going to jail is still going to jail.
Moving on to Section 3, a psychological diagnosis. I mean, naturally, you can't go through something this crazy and just keep it to yourself. Charlie ends up spilling the whole story to his psychiatrist friend, Sam Weiner, which leads us to the clinical explanation.
So here's the kicker. Sam gives him a very specific diagnosis, a classic case of waking dream wish fulfillment. Basically, it's a psychological escape button. Sam argues it's just the mind's way of building a temporary refuge from the crushing stress and fear of modern reality. To Sam, Charlie isn't actually time traveling. He's just deeply unhappy, and his brain is working overtime to invent a safe space to cope.
You definitely want to pay close attention to the symbolism here, because the physical locations in this story are actually direct mirrors of Charlie's psychological state. Grand Central Station isn't just a transit hub. It symbolizes the massive, confusing maze of the modern human mind. On the flip side, Galesburg represents the ultimate psychological haven, a place of total rest and absolute safety. Charlie is literally trying to navigate out of his mental maze and into peace.
Okay, Section 4, the impossible plot twist. Right when we think we've got this whole thing logically boxed up as a hallucination, just a simple coping mechanism, the story completely flips the script on us.
Charlie is now fully obsessed. He actually goes and withdraws his entire life savings, $300, just to buy old-style currency at a hefty premium. He does not care about the financial hit at all. Why? Because things like eggs were only 13 cents a dozen back then. That is a brilliant little detail to tuck away for your exams, by the way. Life was cheap, and more importantly, life was peaceful.
But here comes the twist. Even with a pocket full of the right money, Charlie can never, ever find that odd doorway to the third level again. He searches and searches, but it's just gone. And then, shockingly, it's his skeptical, cynical, city boy psychiatrist friend Sam Weiner who vanishes into thin air. Just gone without a trace. Nobody knows where he went.
That is, until Charlie makes an absolute game-changer of a discovery. He's looking through his grandfather's old stamp collection and stumbles on a first-day cover. Usually these are just blank envelopes mailed on the first day a stamp is issued. But this envelope, mailed to Galesburg on July 18, 1894, actually has a letter inside. From Sam. It says, "Charlie, it's true. I got to the third level. I've been to Galesburg. I've been here for 2 weeks. Everyone on the front porch is singing Nellie Come Home." I mean, wow. Sam actually made it. He even started a hay, feed, and grain business back in the past, because let's face it, peaceful 1894 Galesburg sure doesn't need a psychiatrist.
Section 5. Master your exam keywords. Let's hit pause on the narrative mystery right here so we can hook you up with the exact academic vocabulary you need to score top marks on this text.
If you're tackling a long answer or an essay on this story, you absolutely have to drop these core phrases into your writing. We're talking waking dream wish fulfillment, temporary refuge from reality, the intersection of time and space, and escapism from the modern world. Using these exact phrases proves you truly get the deep thematic layers of Finney's work, well beyond just the basic plot.
Because when you get right down to it, the pure genius of this story is its ambiguity. Did Sam's letter really travel through time? Was the third level an actual physical place? Or was Charlie's mind just completely hallucinating this letter to cope with the trauma of losing his best friend? The author deliberately leaves it open-ended. He never explicitly confirms if it's magic or madness, which makes it the absolute perfect analytical point for you to argue in your exam conclusions.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to chew on. The modern world is stressful. That much is absolutely true. So how do you beat that modern stress without hallucinating a third level of your own? What are your practical ways to find a little peace today, or is time travel starting to look pretty good right about now? Keep questioning the narrative, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.